At the level of the body, at the level of the mind, there is individuality. There are many. You are different. I'm different in every way than you are. Our thought process, our conditioning, but there is a space in us which we share, and that we cannot deny. And the reason for that sharing of that space is because my mind may think differently, my body may behave differently, but there's something, a source which unites my body and mind in this localization, and your body and mind in your localization. There's something that we share. It is called the breath. Don't we share the breath? Aren't we the same breath? That breath which is here, when it goes in me, it becomes me. And when it goes in you, it becomes you. So there's something inside this localization which owns that unity, which divides the experience of oneness. Okay? And I'm not going deep into, I'm just speaking about an ordinary experience. We cannot deny that at the level of the pavan, at the level of the prana, at the level of the breath, we are one. If life means to breathe, if breath is life, and this is our direct experience, it's not a philosophy, it's not a belief system. If breath is life, then life is here also. And when this life goes in you, it becomes you. And when this life goes here, it becomes me. Aren't we experiencing that unity of oneness even in our gross experience, even our most materialistic experience of reality? What to say? Okay, maybe consciousness can be a belief because there's not our experience yet. But look at this, at the level of breath. So breath is called Ru. And Ru means soul. Ru means soul. Breath is the soul. Now, when the soul is not within you. You are within the soul. You and me are sharing the same soul, same awareness, same consciousness, same breath. And when this breath goes inside you, the mechanics of this body is such that this breath divides itself into 5. Division happens the moment the breath enters this physical body. It divides itself into prana, apana, smana, udyana, and vyana. So the wind that uplifts you, the wind that pulls you down, the wind that unites you, all these different winds, these winds tie you in your story. So when the mind, when the soul, the breath, the Ru goes in, the 5 winds are divided, and moment this unity is divided into 5, the mind comes and owns it and kidnaps it and personalizes it and imposes its story onto it. And what is mind? Mind are patterns, samskaras. So your old patterns hijacked that unity of being which comes and kisses you and gives you life. It came to embrace you in that unity, but you with your pattern, with your samskaras, immediately kidnapped it because the one became 5. It divided itself. But it came in to unite you, and it is uniting you. You know, our breath is uniting. It is uniting. It is the union. And that's why by meditating on the breath, the meditation of the breath is called zikr, remembrance. It's called simran, remembrance. So as it goes in, it divides itself into 5. And by dividing itself into 5, the patterns of your mind, the patterns of your story, kidnaps it, owns it, and then imposes its story of individuality, of its personality onto it. And it loses its unity. And then it starts to circulate itself in the 72,000 nadis, or the web of life. And then you're caught up. So that soul, which comes every moment fresh and new, without any pattern, without any desire, becomes part of the desires in your story, become part of your story, and you create this, division of that unity. So there is a unity of being, there is a shared experience of life, even though you are having an individual experience of life that you cannot deny. So here, you and me are one. I may have talked about this before, but the breath has 2 points. So as the breath goes in, there's 1 point, and as the breath goes out, it is the second point. So the breath has 2 points. Now, if that point which is the inner end of the breath is you have to recognize the other end also, because this end of the breath in you is only complete in relation to the end of the breath outside. So if this is you and the breath is you, then the breath has to be embraced in its totality, and the breath is only complete if it has an inner point and an outer point. If the inner point is you, then who is the outer point? It has to be you also. But your patterns never give you the experience of that shared consciousness, the shared being. So there is a unity of being at every level. Now I go a bit deeper into this. Even your thoughts, a thought comes, you may think differently, I may think differently. You may have different thoughts, I may have different thoughts. But when the thoughts come to an end, which happens, you cannot think continuously. You have to stop. And there are points in you that every other moment thought ends. And when the thoughts end, and when your thoughts end, we experience the same gap or the same emptiness or the same space. So even at the level of the mind, we are sharing some experience which are same. Okay. And that goes even for your heartbeat. Your heartbeat from the yogic teachings also. When the heart, and then another pulse comes, if you really slow it down, there's an empty space within the heartbeat, and that you and me share. So we are sharing that state or that space at the end of every activity. Our activities, our individual modulations gives us a division of life. But if you slow down all these and you start to study yourself at the level of the body, all your modulations at the level of the body comes to an end. And others also, their modulations come to an end. If you watch your breath, it comes to an end. And we are sharing our space at the end of our every physical, mental, energetic, and whatever other dimensions that may be. So we are collapsing. Whenever we collapse, whenever we dissolve, whenever we become, when we delete our individuality, we always end up in our unity. And this is what Rumi meant when he said, I meet you at the end of the road. The problem is we are walking to such an extreme that even when the road ends, we just jump and we take another road. We never stop that. So this is the unity of being, which is being shared at all levels. Others may not be your experience yet, but the experience of the breath, the end of the breath, the sameness of the breath, we cannot deny that. So here, you and me are one. This is called Aham Brahmasmi in the Vedas. I am all. And this is called Ik Oankar in the teachings of Guru Nanak, which means the unity of being. And the Sufis call these Wahdat al-Wajud. and also anaul haq. This is the truth. This is the truth. That you and me are one. This is the truth. And we cannot miss it. It's happening all the time. Everything else is coming and going. But this truth, the breath, you and me are one. This experience of the breath never changes. Never changes. Everything else is changing. Everything, my mind is changing. Everything else changes, but this truth that we share the breath, it cannot change. This is called Satnam, unchanging reality. My friends, this is God actually. It's so close to you. And that which is close to you has to be God. There's nothing else. Everything else is far away. But God is closer. In the Sufi tradition, there's this beautiful verse which says, God is closer than the breath vein. That closeness. And in the Sikh tradition, Saharagatovi nede vasada dunya firdi vich harani. The divine is closer than the breath, but we are finding it everywhere. And there's another sutra, Gavacha yap firen labbe rabbano. You yourself are lost, but you're finding God. And that lost that you are is not lost somewhere. It is lost here, right in front of you.
Yeah.
That I, that God, that divine, that universe, where is you? This is the universe. Where is life? Right here. This is life. There's no other life. It's here. And you and me are sharing this life. We share a life. Okay, so this is the unity of being, and this is the oneness, which is ever. This is the wisdom which is known as the veiled wisdom. This is the wisdom that is veiled. It is so close, yet is so far away. That is another term that you so close. Gave ko japa disse dur, gave ko vekhe hadra hadur. Some see it far away and some see it very close. It is both. In the Jewish tradition, there is this beautiful statement. That says that the divine is so vast that the universe cannot contain it. Yet the divine is so small that it can be contained in between my two heartbeats. That bigness and that smallness at the same time. That's why it's a very mystical path. It is so clear and it's so close, yet we are missing it all the time. Because you are not here, we are not here. The divine is here, life is here, God is here. कि हाजुर hazur hai, कि zahir zahur hai. That's another beautiful term used in the yogic tradition. It is ever here and ever now. Tell me, life is here, life is now. But the problem is when life comes into you, you kidnap it. You do not allow your mind. That in the Tibetan tradition, that's a beautiful. Somebody asked, so how do I do this? So Tilopa, the great Siddha of the Tibetan tradition, the Tantrayana, the tradition of the Tantra, the tradition of the body, he said, don't extend your previous thought. Don't create your new thought. Be with this. Don't extend your previous thought. Don't create the new thought. Be here. This is the most simplest, yet the most difficult. We can go to the moon, but we cannot go here.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
So this is important. This is why we are sitting. This is Sangha. Dharma is received in Sangha. The path to Dharma means the path to the self. It's not a belief system. It's not some God up there. No, Dharma is how to Dharma. Dhar means to place, and Ma means ego, how to put your ego down. That's it. How to anchor your ego. That's what dharma means. Self realization, to know yourself. Yeah.